Every fall, Charlton Hill Home Services gets calls from our customers to come and do a routine fall furnace check. We do hundreds of these every fall, and when we do a furnace check in your home, we are looking to answer two questions, and they're answered in this order. Number one, is it safe? And number two, does it operate as it's supposed to? Let's dive deep into the question, is it safe? Furnaces are built with a variety of safety components. If you think about your furnace, it is a giant fire that we introduce into your home. We contain it inside of a metal structure called a heat exchanger, and then we blow air across it. The air is heated by the metal heat exchanger and then distributed to your home. So one of the most critical things in your home is that the exhaust fumes from the fire and the air going into your home don't get mixed up. We always want to keep those things separately. Now, your furnace has safety devices built in for just about everything. So for instance, if your chimney gets blocked, that will cause something to happen inside your furnace that will likely shut it down. If for some reason gas starts to flow into your furnace but the flame doesn't light, it will shut the gas off. It's a safety device to make sure that we're not flooding your home with gas. If flames roll out the front of your furnace, something happens internally and it doesn't operate right, your furnace will detect, most furnaces will, the older ones may not, will detect that flames have rolled out the front of the furnace and will shut it off. And all of those things produce the same symptom to you. I have no heat. And so when we come, we check all of those safety devices, and there's a bunch of other ones. All of the wires and tubes and hoses that you see inside your furnace are mostly there to make sure that we can burn that giant fire inside your home and keep it safe. Those are the big things. Now, let's talk about that metal structure in which we contain that big fire, the heat exchangers. If there is a crack or a breach of some kind in that steel heat exchanger that contains the fire, that means the potential exists that exhaust gases from inside the heat exchangers could get into the home. And for that reason, the gas safety code is very, very clear. If there's a crack in the heat exchanger, something must be done, and it must be done immediately. In the history of furnaces, no furnace has ever been built that's got a built-in safety device that tells you if there's a crack in the heat exchanger. Potentially the most risky failure of all, and there's no device in any furnace to tell you that it's a problem. So when our furnace technicians come out to your home to check your furnace, that's the biggest thing we do, is we carefully and thoughtfully check those heat exchangers to make sure that they're intact as they're intended to be. Let's talk a little bit about how we do that. The simplest way to perform that check is visually. Now, if you look into the front of your furnace, there's not a whole lot of access to look inside the heat exchangers. Most of what's inside the heat exchangers is buried inside the big cabinet, and it's protected by ductwork, and we don't have access to look inside and actually see it. So we will always do a visual check. Sometimes we'll even use a camera of some kind and go up inside and try and look for places where we know that there are potentially problems in a heat exchanger. That's not the only test we do. There's a variety of other small tests that we do that will test the integrity of that heat exchanger. Tests that we'll do that the visual eye just see. And so we would encourage you, when our furnace technician comes out to your home to do your furnace check, participate in that process. Have a look to see what he does, and he'll explain exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it, and share his findings with you. In many cases, we'll even pull the blower completely out of the furnace so that we can see the heat exchangers from below. And that shows us a whole bunch of what's going on. And in the case of high efficiency furnaces, there's often a problem right where we're looking from below. We take this heat exchanger check extremely seriously. And for that reason, Charlton Hill Home Services does an inordinate amount of training with our HVAC technicians. And so you can expect when they come out that they're going to do that check, and they're going to do it thoroughly, and they will advise you exactly what they find. And one of our goals in every situation is to empower our customers to make good choices about their system. So when it's time to get your furnace checked, call Charlton Hill Home Services, the name you can trust.